So, good afternoon here in the United States, and good evening to you there in Uganda. And I see that we have other colleagues of yours. Oma, forgive me if I pronounce that incorrectly. So let's start with introducing ourselves. My name is Dr. Wale Idris Ajibade. I'm a Yoruba, and I am the Executive Director of African Views Organization. It is such a pleasure for me to have you here. I will tell you more about African Views. I want to start by getting to know you first. So let's start with Sarah introducing herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Koita Chepjira. As you all know, I'm from Uganda, and I'm in Libre University doing community psychology and psychotherapy. And so I think a few weeks ago, if I may say, not a few weeks actually, it's been a few months, I got in touch with Dr. Wells, and we did talk about the idea of starting the African Views Students chapter in Uganda, and we've been initiating that process. And luckily enough, we've been able to register the African Views. Dr. Wells, the two people that are in today's meeting are colleagues that I'm working with very closely with in several of the projects that we are running at the university. So yes, I think that's all from my side, and I would give them the opportunity as well to introduce themselves. Yeah.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I am Nyanzi Matia from Lira University. I'm a software engineer by profession, and I've just completed my bachelor's from Lira University. I am so passionate about climate change, and I also want to bring more youths together, because I know as youths, we have a lot of effort to change the world. So we want to use our time before it expires. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Auma Jacqueline. I hope you guys are getting me. I'm in a kind of noisy place, but I hope you guys are getting me. My name is Auma Jacqueline. I'm a student from Lira University, Uganda, and pursuing a bachelor's degree in community psychology and psychotherapy. I'm also passionate about climate advocacy, promoting climate justice, and it doesn't stop me from, venturing in other things. We can use African Views also to do the same. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thanks for being here. I realize that you all have your last name first. That seems to be a tradition in Uganda. Is that so?
Oh yes, oh yes.
Okay, so your first name is Jacqueline, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and what about Nyanzi? Is your first name Matia or Nyanzi?
It's Nyanzi Matia.
Okay, so your first name is Matia.
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. With Sarah, I know Sarah is her first name. All right. Thank you so very much. And I want to first congratulate you all, especially Sarah, for our tenacity. And I would add also temerity and magnanimity for seeing through that we're able to register the first African Views student chapter. This was a very great accomplishment. It's a milestone that we have set for almost 15 years, and we have been working actively on it. Many people have tried, and they have not been successful at it. So what Sarah did was very monumental, and I'm very certain, with God on our side, that this is going to be a wonderful development, not only for African Views or for your individuals, but really for the development of Africa across the world. So I congratulate you all and I thank you for your commitment. So let me begin first by introducing African Views to you. Okay. Before I do that, I'm going to give you a background of the narrative, because when we say African Views, it's really difficult to provide a definition of African Views, as Africa is a vast and diverse continent with many cultures, languages, traditions, and so many other things. Additionally, the views of individuals within these various cultures can also differ based on a variety of factors, such as, of course, age, gender, religion, education, traditions, cultures, and economic status. That being said, the generalization of African views can be made based on certain cultural values and beliefs that are shared across the continent, in fact, across the world. For example, many African cultures place a strong emphasis on community and family, and value respect for elders and authority figures. Additionally, many African societies place a high value on hospitality and generosity towards guests and strangers. Those are very basic things. But we know that there's just so many cultures and many perspectives. And don't forget that African people are spread around the world at various times, at various reasons. Them being anywhere else does not cut off that ties of being African. So we actually have an African presence around the world. So there are certain traditions and African religious beliefs and practices that are common across many different cultures, such as ancestral worships, etc., beliefs in supreme being, and all kinds of things that we value as Africans. And it's also very important to note that African societies have been heavily influenced by colonialism, globalizations, and modernizations. And as a result, many people of Africa may hold a mixed traditional and modern beliefs. Now, whatever belief they hold, that does not make them any less African. So you can understand that the concept we are dealing with here is very, very vast. So it's very important to approach any discussion on African views with the understanding of this vast diversity and complexity of the people and the continent. Okay, so that's the beginning. Now, where does African views come in? Now, with African views, we recognize all these possibilities. And we started to ponder the idea of African views by recognizing the fact that while Africans are present around the world, we do not have a global strength, like compared to many other cultures and traditions around the world. So this has been a concern. And when we started to look at the complexity and the diversity of African people, we see a lot of disarrays and dissipation in the African strength, which makes it often, in many cases, incoherent, to say the least. So we decided to put together, with very great effort, first a research of people of African descent around the world. And what we realized is that there is a tremendous power, tremendous wisdom, tremendous intelligence in every African community that exists around the world. It's fascinating if we look at this. So we started to make effort to put all these values together. So we realized that even within the values and these perspectives, there are many differences and different approaches, but we all want the same thing, which is progress, development, advancement, and pure evolution of what is truly African. So we formed African Views as an alliance of global African intelligence. This is exactly what African Views is. As you know, many of the African values and traditions are handed down mostly, if you look at the various cultures, they are handed down through oral histories, much of which we don't have proper documentations for many reasons. Of course, part of it is also the foreign intervention and the changes of the narratives, and most of the stories were told by people outside of the African society. So we recognize that it is time for us to begin to tell our stories, echo our stories, and systematize our stories, collate it in such a coherent way that could make it into our pedagogic systems. We realize the need for the African philosophy and African sciences, African technologies, African psychology in many ways. And there's value in this, value that would serve all our societies, values that would serve the people of the world. Because eventually, whatever we do, when it serves ourselves, it serves the people of the world as well. Because we're talking about global advancement here. So therefore, the organization, African Views, works on a wide variety of issues relating to education, the environment, health, and economic development. Okay, this includes advocating for challenges faced by children, youth, and gender-related matters, as well as promoting the chances of cultural advancement. Now, let me emphasize cultural advancement. When we talk about culture, a lot of people often quickly default to dances, singings, or clothings, etc. All those things, performances, entertainment. But that is that's a very myopic view of culture. Culture is a very vast phenomenon, in such a way that it really encompasses everything about us, everything that we are, everything that is of value to us. How we do things, what we do, are therefore cultural products. And if we ask for cultural products in Africa, we see that people again default into arts and crafts. And that is a wrong view of human civilization or education. But again, we think that that has been influenced by our pedagogic systems. Okay, the whole concept of that is that, for instance, if you see a Japanese car, okay? If you see a Japanese car, you should know that that is a cultural product. If you see a Korean refrigerator or a television, you know that that is a cultural product. If you see an American car, you know that that is an American cultural product, because it shows, even in that trade, the full element of these cultural understandings and cultural benefit. People need to feel who they are in everything that they do. We are one of the peoples in the world that are not doing that efficiently enough. This is the bulk of our problem. And that is why it is so critical to bring this type of consciousness to the youth. So wherever they may be, African communities are to receive support from our organization for sustainable development solutions and pathways to development. So as an international alliance of African visions, African voices, wisdoms, ideas, intelligence, and values, we pursue this because it serves as a significant portion of our organization's work and involves a serious amount of research, serious amount of analysis, and development precisions. So you can imagine, you who are now embarking on academia pursuit or academic pursuit, to become something that is important to you, maybe because you feel that this is what you want to do and you want to that you could do within your strength and serve the world. It's important to have this consciousness with it that even you as a single person represent a whole unit, a whole community, a whole state, city, a whole nation. More importantly, a whole kingdom, your people, your school, yourself. So you are, whatever you do, when you're great, you become a great important influence in the African world. So it's very, very important that we engage you at this level, okay? So the organization aims to support the sustainable development solutions and pathway to African communities, wherever they may be. And we promote the interdependence, and interdependence is a word that I need to emphasize, as well as international standards of ethics with insight into the collective conscientiousness, and consciousness of the presence and diversity of African values worldwide. So this is why we promote the combination of cultures. And you can imagine when we begin to put everything together, like a tapestry, we see when we put together all our efforts, all our values, we see a tapestry that is very unique and necessary in the world. There's so much to bring about to the world. And the fact that we're not doing enough to bring that about is really some of the reasons that we are challenged. So the student chapter is incredibly, incredibly important to everything that we do, okay? So as a research and development initiative organization, we work on a variety of issues that includes diversity and emphasizes the complexity within the context of the Alliance of African Cultural Structures and Intelligences around the world. If you look at just Uganda alone, you see a lot of diversity, you see a lot of cultures, you see a lot of differences, and you can understand that all of this diversity that we have is actually the wealth of our people. But it's not emphasized enough because oftentimes we separate modernity from traditions, when in fact it is cultures that gets civilized. So we often don't pay attention to that correlation, to that inseparability between cultures and modernity. Okay, this is a big issue, and it is for this reason that we partner with the United Nations, the Economic and Social Councils of the United Nations, ECOSOC. And this means that we can work with academics and the academia for different, or with different multidisciplinary faculties, okay? With multi-sectoral professionals, with student chapters like you, from different countries to reach these goals, okay? So with this concept, African Views encourages the understanding, the responsibility, creative ideas, and new ways of doing things in order to find sustainable solutions to the betterment of Africa as well as humanity. So I'm very pleased to again congratulate you that you have successfully launched the student chapter. So now what we need to do is to launch it properly and begin operations. This is why we needed to have this meeting today. Okay, I have selected some materials that I will share with you that's going to provide for you the spectrum and the possibilities and areas where we can go into to allow you to begin the work. And the work is very simple because it's already something that you are probably doing, already part of in your academic life or your private interests. So to launch this, we have to announce it. This would also attract people who might be interested. A lot of students are looking for this type of opportunities. And the stage that you are makes it incredibly important to influence the thinking and the consciousness of our people everywhere. This is going to affect everything that we do in all the productive sector, in politics, in culture, in everything that we do, that will bring this consciousness to it. Okay? There are many things that we don't do. We believe that everything is about mind over matter. We do not do violence. We do not discriminate. We do not bring conflict between the genders. We respect the idea of gender equality. This is very critical to African development because in many cases, the strengths of women are undermined. So we want to make sure that everything is being equal. Everybody is able to contribute and everybody is given the chance to participate. This is very, very important. In Uganda alone, you've had some experiences. I wouldn't even go as far as slavery period, but slavery did affect Uganda a great, great deal. The slavery that happened in East Africa is untold. Tanzania, being very close to Uganda, Tipu Tip, who was the slave trader in Uganda, in Tanzania, from Zanzibar, took more slaves than what happened in South Africa. Much of that is buried in history, and we have even forgotten it. We also know the effect of colonialism all over Africa, but specifically in Uganda, it affects everything that we do today. It affects us in Christianity. It affects us in religion. It affects us in education and productive matters. It affects our thinking. It affects the way we rule. It affects the way we distrust each other. Okay, while we cannot let go of power because we don't trust each other. No one knows it more than you, the Pearl of Africa, for all that you have been through, what you have suffered. So we African Views have done some work in Uganda to understand the terrain. We were part of the movement for reconciliation as well as restitution after the Joseph Kony saga. We did some very impressive work. We also work with vocational schools. However, in Uganda, there have been measures made for the voices of the youth to be heard. I'm not sure if it's still in place, but at least at that time, you had the Ministry of Youth, led by youth, as part of the parliament. I hope that that's still the case. Anyway, so I think where we begin is with some programs that needs to be announced at school. And all this that I'm saying are suggestions because I really want this to be your own ideas, your own opinion, your own visions. But I'll give you just some examples of possibilities. Now, there are many issues that needs to be discussed that are being discussed as part of the general, as part of the general state of affairs everywhere in the world, what we call current affairs. It's very important that we have the voice of students in it, because very soon, you are going to be in the place where you are, whether you begin to work in real life or whether you decide to continue your education, you are going to be in a position where you can begin to influence the development. And I want to lay emphasis on that development. With the African context, we talk about development, but more than development, we must focus on advancement. And in this case, as well as this time, we need to focus on rapid advancement. Okay, I'm talking about accelerated education and accelerated advancement of our cultures and our people. Don't forget, it is cultures that get civilized. So what I'm thinking is when we are going to launch this student chapter, what we need to do is to design a debate or a discussion, okay, among the students which we're going to invite to have this dialogue amongst yourselves. Sarah, in a position, I think, could be a very good moderator, since really she's the main organizer of this. She could run this in such a way that we will record the recordings and we would include it in our archive as well as share with the rest of the world. And you guys will promote it as well. You could do intro, which is just within the Libra University, create a topic and bring students to have a debate or a discussion about it. I think that would be really useful. We can do that and include a Zoom program in it so that we can have it recorded, or you can record it locally and share it, whichever way that is good for you. But I think if you want to start with inter-schools, you can do a Zoom, okay? So that means you have a representative of a school, Lira University, for instance, and Makerere, for instance, and several other universities. With this, we can begin to raise the consciousness. We can have, and we can design all these topics. We can do research on them. And this topic could be anything. For instance, what Sarah is doing about climate change. That's something that we could talk about. It could be about the environment. It could be about culture. It could be about anything that that is of interest to you. But everything that we do must be meaningful, and it must be something that would influence you yourself, and also all the students of the university, as well as all the students of the country and beyond. This is very important. There are many things that I don't know about that you guys know, things that you think are important to your development. And when we're talking about your development, then we're talking about the advancement of the circumstances, isn't it? We're talking about the advancement of the curriculum. We're talking about the advancement of the pedagogic system, even. We're talking about so many other various things. One of the things that is very important to African views is the development of African kingdoms. We think that development of African kingdom is so critically important. And in Uganda, you have several of this kingdom, Uganda being one of the leaders of those kingdom. And Buganda kingdom is very powerful, very important. You can discuss some historical context, you could discuss some contemporary issues, you could discuss things that are of future circumstances. You could discuss scenarios, whatever the case may be, but you discuss it and focus on intelligence and intelligence production, as well as focus on the outcome. And the outcome must always be progress. Always be progress. So when we begin with that, whatever we discuss will be properly documented and will be part of the archive. We will keep it into the system, and it would be part of, again, the tapestry that shows the intelligence and wisdom of the African world. So this is, again, what I see that would be of interest to other students. And, again, we have so many possibilities. We also have the SDGs. If we look at the context of the SDGs of the United Nations, we can see a lot of topics within the SDGs, and under each SDGs has so many categories of the various angles to which we can discuss. And also, at African Views, we put the SDGs together with the African Union Sustainable Development Goals, which is the Agenda 2063. Okay, we want to make sure that we begin to raise this consciousness at the university level. Okay, so there's so many things the student chapter can do. You guys can have your publications. Again, we can have all these video programs that we think will be of great interest. The world is waiting for Africans to show, the perspectives and world development and what they can do. And the world out there is moving at a very rapid pace that in many cases we, maybe it seems to many parts of the world that we are behind, but it's not necessarily true, because in Uganda alone, you guys have made a huge leap for Africa, but the world does not know. Even Africans do not know. Even your neighbor country in East Africa do not know what the advancement of Uganda alone in the world. Uganda was one of the first countries to produce an electric car that runs on solar. Like a solar, you have the Kira, isn't it? Don't forget. And not only that, Uganda has students of Makerere have discovered, actually they have invented a bomb diffusing robot. It's an amazing feat, but the world doesn't know. You know, there's so many things that are going on. There's also this young kid from this young man from Zimbabwe, I think Zambia, that has produced a television that does not run on cable, which is solar panel and can receive airwave signals to show TV. These are the things that we need in Africa. These are the type of leap that we are talking about. And if we don't talk about it at your level, people will not embrace it at a commercial level because we don't have the capacity to compete at that commercial level in the world. You know, the big firms in the world that runs all the productions of electronic materials would not let it happen because it affects their livelihood. And yet it is fatal to us. So you can see we have everything that we need just within us. And that's why it's important for us to raise that consciousness, to make sure that we all know what we're capable of, and therefore set goals that are achievable in making a presence in the world. This will be our contribution to the world. Okay, so this is why it's so important to have this student chapter. I'll wait for your questions, and the next topic will be some of the things, the materials we need for the promotions and so on and so forth. I haven't told Sarah yet, but we have a lot of materials that would help to raise awareness and to also get membership. We have membership forms that students can fill out. So I'm going to give this to you, Sarah, that you can use to get more interest in this and get started at the school. So this is certainly going to uplift Lira University. It's also going to enhance the students' value, you know, in both you know, in Uganda, in Lira, and in other places. So let me stop there for a minute and ask if you have any questions before we continue. Thank you. Sarah?
Thank you, Dr. Well. You always, I mean, like, you always, you know, there's always something to learn from when you speak, you know. There's so many things that I keep learning. Every time we have an engagement, I always learn, especially about, you know, the work of the African Views, what we can do, and and actually what we could benefit from our participation. So I and my colleagues had actually discussed, we had a few, like you said, the things that we need to do to engage students. So we had a few ideas that we had come up with, one of which I think you mentioned. We were planning to hold our debate, some format of debate, and at the same time, also a debate to discuss. We've not really you know, finalized on what we should discuss, but at the same time, we're also planning to hold an awareness campaign for what I'm working on in climate change, solar radiation modification. So we held one session, I think a few weeks ago, for solar radiation modification. And by that time, we had not really finalized the registration of the African Views. But now that we're now on board, I think we just need to integrate. Yeah. From my side, the questions that we're not, okay, I wasn't very clear about, you know, how we're going to work in terms of, like, let's say the reporting system, and if there's going to be any support from African Views, or maybe we need to mobilize on our side. Like, some of the things were not clear, and I think my teammates also shared the same, because when we held a meeting the other day, we're like, so how are we going to, you know, work, yeah, with African Views, yeah. So I think that those are the major questions that we had, but I think my colleagues could also, you know, raise questions that they they have all they have got from this particular session.
For my side, I just feel so happy because I've always been yearning for people who can really speak about how Africans we can go developmental. Because I myself, I feel like in Africa we can do better. There is no need for us to over depend on support that comes from whites. Many people are so innovative in Africa, but because there is no way we can stand up the moment we try, maybe sometimes even our leaders put us down. So I think if we start it, the African views from the grassroots, like at campus, by the time someone leaves, he feels energetic and encouraged to go and demonstrate, like show something better than the way people were put down. I think that is a very good move. On my side, I feel so pleased and very happy for this. Yes.
Jacqueline, don't forget to unmute.
Yes, just before Jackie unmutes, I think Dr. Well, I forgot to tell you, we are actually working on our project with Nyanzi and Jackie. We have a waste management application that we've been working on. Matthias is he's into IT. Maybe he can talk a bit because I can't speak for him. I think he should talk about it. But we're working on a waste management application, and he is our IT expert. Yeah. So we've developed a waste management application, and our major aim is to reduce the level of waste mismanagement in the country. We have a very huge problem with waste in Uganda. So we looked at the fact that they started 11 new cities in the country, and our plan is to work with those cities to reduce waste for waste management. Yes. So we came up with a waste management application, and maybe Mattia can talk about that because he's the developer.
Let me ask you, if you don't mind, hold on, Mattia, before you speak. For the purpose of visuals, try to turn on your video if you can, if it's not going to affect the traffic, the bandwidth, just because it makes for better viewership, so they can put a face behind who's speaking. So if you can turn on your video, if not, that's fine. But at least we know. Okay. All right, go ahead. There you go. Look at your handsome self. Beautiful. All right, don't forget to unmute.
Okay. Yes, Jens Mattia, as I had told you earlier. I'm a software engineer. And actually everything you've been saying about how we can make Africa better, I've just been looking at how I can use my knowledge in software developing to enhance, because I feel currently in the world, many youths are connected by social media. And if we bring such efforts through the media they use often, I think we can do better. Because currently, and I think even in the future where we're heading, there is no way we can separate technology in our daily lives. There is no way, it can no longer happen. So it is through technology, where I feel like if I'm given a chance to make Africa better, it's technology that I can use to empower Africa. Yeah, because I feel that effort, and even from the way you've been speaking, always I've been yearning to see how Africans can be better in life. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. What about Jackie? Do you have something to add to this? Don't be shy.
Good evening once again. I'm sorry, I'm caught up somewhere. It's raining really heavily. I don't know whether you guys are getting me, but what I wanted to add on as media director, I wanted to know, you know, I will need real standard cameras, you know, that's what I assume anyway. And maybe a small training, something like that, so that I can know what to actually do. Currently, I can't turn on my video because it's dark. Actually, here there is no power. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
But yeah, I think that's what I wanted to add on. And I'm not following so closely because the volume is kind of down. And also here I'm in a noisy.
Understood. Thank you very much. Don't forget, there will be a recording of this, which I will share with you, and then you can recap on everything. So the issue of media we will talk about in a minute. Let me quickly just add to what Matthias said. So technology is indispensable, and we embrace it totally. Right now, we are working on developing an app. This app is a very revolutionary app. It's an app that we want to use to reform the informal market. It's a database concept that is interactive, where people can trade and transact business. It's very, very important that we have it at local level, international level, continental level, and global level for African trades. That's something that we are going to discuss more closely. Since this is your passion, you are going to be part of that crew that's going to come up with this. Okay. There are a few things that we are doing that I will inform you about that is very, very progressive. See, for everything that we're doing to come together, the first thing we need to do is to get the attention of our leaders. But we know that our government leaders are very distracted. They're very difficult it's difficult to get their attention, to say the least, and also to get them to believe, because what they are interested in mostly is economic returns. And when I say that, I mean immediate economic returns, and there's a reason for that. The reason they want immediate economic returns is because as a political entity, their time in office is very limited. So because of that, they often want to utilize the time they have to make the best of the fortune that they could amass from that. It's a natural human pursuit. We don't fault them for that. And those who gain power don't want to release it because of the same reason. We don't fault them for that. That's a human flaw. But that shouldn't stop us. So while we understand the importance of leadership, we are focused on traditional leadership, because all they are is symbolicity. They just symbolize a staff figurehead for us. So we're going to show you how we work with traditional rulers and why they are important. We are putting together something now across Africa called the Alliance of the Ark. The ARK is ARK, which stands for African Royal Kingdoms. So you can imagine, just like we have the African Union of Nations, we are embarked on developing an alliance of African kingdoms, so to speak, a United Kingdom, United Kingdoms of Africa. But in that sense, we don't want to use that phrase. Rather, we'll defer to the Alliance of the Ark. We like that better. It's more meaningful to us. So an alliance brings another concept, thinking, than united, because united, everybody's in Africa unite, but unity is a very difficult thing. You know, it's very, very difficult because when you bring two things to one, or three things to one, or four or five, whatever, it means that there's going to be a figurehead, a leadership, and everybody vies for that position. We want to eliminate that competition. We want everybody to be themselves, represent themselves on equal terms. Even though that's difficult, but it's not as difficult as unity. So the alliance allows for the expression of diversity. It shows that your voice matters, shows that your value matters, you see. So that's the area we're going. And you see, with technology, we are able to do that properly. One of the first things that we're doing with this technology is to have a database of all the kingdoms that exist in the African world, new or old. That's the beginning. And then through that, we are going to be developing various programs that are going to be attached to that. And again, I'll inform you in details about that. But it's a very lofty idea, also very attainable. Okay, so Sarah, you always impress me as well. I just love everything that you do. You know, I feel like a proud father here, so I'm very pleased, a proud uncle, if you will. So, this is the family relationship that we build, especially with this first set of the student chapter. So with the student chapter, I have some documentations that I want to show you. Okay, we have the concept of how to start a student chapter. This is something that you're going to be using to promote the student chapter in other schools. For those who are interested, we have the information. We have the document expresses what a student chapter is and all the specifics about student chapter, the purpose of the student chapter, the mission statements, etc. Okay, and we also have where to find information and who can participate and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have that, and as I mentioned, we also have the form for the registration. We have form for membership registration within universities, and we also, and that same form is what will extend to others in the schools. Okay. We also have the student chapter manual, which I believe you have a copy of. You and I can go through this chapter by ourselves, or you can go through it with the students. If there's anything to change, believe it's in your jurisdiction to do that, and you can inform us, and we'll update it adequately. As I mentioned, we have the form as well, which I will share with you. Let me show you the form quickly. Actually, I'm going to share my screen. I'll show you the form, and then we'll address Jackie's concern. Let me share it. It's a very simple. Let me see. Okay. Share my screen. All right, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, yes. You actually shared this form with me.
Oh, you have this
And
form.
it was actually filled, but I've not sent it. I think I need to. I will scan it tomorrow and send it to you.
No problem. But this is the form that you're going to that you can find the use for this form. I'll send you a blank one as well. I mean, oh, you already have the blank one, right? So you just filled it out, is what you're saying.
Yes, we filled it out. I think that's why, Jackie was talking about being in charge of media.
Okay.
Actually, I've been the IT
Okay.
and
Oh, okay. Great. Excellent. Yes. And so let's begin. Let me close this first. Okay. So, all right. Wow. We have so many resources that is available to you. We have a grant from Google. This grant is not monetary. It allows us to advertise. We have an advertisement grant for $10,000 a month, just on advertising. That means that we could promote anything we do as much as we want. This grant is waiting for your utilization. That's the beginning. The next thing is that we also have from Google grants for Google Classrooms. Google Classrooms is very useful for you guys to do your programs if you want. All of these are available to you. Sarah already has the African Views email and many other resources that are available. We can also develop for you, I mean, you guys could develop a web page for your specific student chapter and put anything that you want on it. So Matia, that would be your department, where you can create something for yourself and we'll put it in the African Views, and you can promote it and do anything that you want on that on the student chapter section for your school, for as far as you want to reach. So all of those are available for you. We also have the Zoom that you can use if you want to do a Zoom program. We can extend the account to you. You could use that. Now, when it comes to media equipment, which is really what Jackie is talking about, regarding the training, we can extend training to you. We are currently partnering with the University of Media and Communication. I think that would be of great benefit to you. But we can also, we have media resources in that level. All the things that happens within the student chapter, you guys have to learn to be independent or interdependent in what I would say. It's very critical. Interdependent is the word. And in this case, yes, I know that we need money and we can help you raise money, but it is very, very important that we groom you to be self-sufficient. That means that, yes, all those things that you need, such as camera, this and that, you have to list them, and you have to, within your capacity, try to raise funds for it. And again, we can help you raise funds for these type of things, but we could use Google advertisement to ask for donations towards that. Or we can raise the money locally. As a matter of fact, you could reach out to, as a student body, let me tell you, as a student body, you have a lot of opportunities. All these things that you mentioned, if you look at the local, regional, the local media companies that exist, even in Lira, you could reach out to them. And believe me, they'll give you support. Convince them with the charms that you guys got, they'll give you everything you want. So these are the type of things that you need to build your capacity into. I want us to stop waiting for manna to come from somewhere else. We can do this on our own. So I want to make sure that you feel empowered by yourself. Okay, it is very critical. That doesn't mean that you get a lot of help, but I want you to have that mentality of what can I do? So I want you to look at the things that you're going to need. But right now, it's difficult to begin to specify things that you need without actually going through the experience and then know what's lacking. Because right now, it may be sufficient just to have, maybe your phones and, whatever video materials that you could have or video equipment to start. And when you start, you will realize areas where efficiency is required, areas where needs are required, and then you begin to pursue that need. Okay. And don't forget, we're talking about the civilization of the entire society, the advancement of the culture of the entire society. So it's very important that you reach out to your local resources. Reach out to your local resources to support you. They are your parents. They would be very happy to support you. And that's how we empower ourselves. Okay. That's how we empower ourselves. We begin to build these ideas. We begin to build confidence. And that's with that relationship alone, you will grow. They will know you. They will trust you. They'll learn to trust you. They'll, because we've made too many mistakes. Many of us, programs in Africa are always funded by some foreign entity, and nothing comes out of it. No, we want to build something that's going to last forever. And we're all going to be part of that. And to do that, we have to make this effort. We have to make these sacrifices. We have to do the runs. We have to write the emails. We have to do the letters. We have to engage. We have to know who to turn to. So that's why it's important for us to start the program. Okay, and then begin to see where there's need. And so when we present these needs, it will be real. It won't be some fictitious idea of, oh, I need a car, it's, or I need a bike, whatever the case may be. I hope you understand. So I want you to be patient, and I want you to be vigilant about the needs, and I want you also to be very confident in yourselves, and that what you put out is valuable enough for support, for local support. Okay, now let's address the issue of programs. So I think the first program, Sarah, is to discuss African views. Let students begin to wonder what it is and what it could become. Because what we have is an amazing concept. This is digging into our consciousness and our conscientiousness about who we are and how we can change ourselves in the face of the world, how we can gain respect to who we are and what we can do with our intelligence. So I think the first topic which you would launch this should be African views. What is African views? And I'm not talking about it only from the organizational sense, but from the consciousness and the conscientiousness of the students. Okay, if they would have, and what would it be? What is their vision for Africa? What is, let's figure that out first. All right, and what is their view of the African role in the world? What is their view of the African status in the world? What can we together achieve for Africa? What can they do? How can they contribute? Whatever topic for whatever course that they are pursuing at the school. Within that context, what can they do? Look at what Matthias said. It's so beautifully stated that he's been passionately looking for what he could do with what he's learning to move Africa forward, to lift Africa up. It's a beautiful statement. No one can take away from that. And this is the kind of passion we want everybody to have. I know you already have that, Sarah, and I know that you have it, or Jackie, because that's why you are part of this. So there will be a whole lot to do. The first step we need to do is to take it step by step. We need to write down things. Okay, we need to write down things so we can begin to create statements. Let me share my screen again. There's something I need to show you. Sharing my screen. Something I need to show you. This thing is a database system. All right, I think somehow we have a database of all the schools in Africa. I'll share with you. This is just the schools in Algeria, which is like the first. Well, we can share. We have a database of all the schools per country, and we will be able to begin to get schools involved. All right, and one of the things that we want to emphasize is, of course, the concept of African studies. I know African studies is not very popular in Africa. It's very popular in the diaspora, but a lot of people don't really know what to make of it in Africa. They don't understand what to do with it. But that particular faculty is kind of important. And I think it's only Africa that can make meaning of it. And that has to do with the study and the understanding of Africa and African values. It's as simple as that. Okay, and how we can integrate the African civilization into everything that we do in the world, whether we're studying law, we're studying business, or we're studying engineering, technology, whatever, or medicine, whatever it is that we're doing. It is very important to begin to integrate that concept, you know, because it's the same thing that everybody's, that's why we have Chinese studies, and that's why they have Chinese values in everything that China is doing. That's why the Europeans have it, okay? That's why the Indians have it. So we have to begin to do this, and you guys have to do the bulk of the work. So, so we have these categories here, like faculty advisor, etc. We have faculty contact, phone, Skype ID, all those things. This can be changed because we developed this, I think, many years ago. At that time, so it was not even in existence. So this type of database, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to stop sharing now. So this type of database is very important for us to develop, and it's something that you're going to use to begin to reach out, and you're going to create the categories as it suits you, and you begin to, for instance, if you reach out to Makerere, you need to have the contact person there, the name of all that stuff, right? And Sarah, you are not only the director of student chapter of LIRA, but you're the president of Student Chapters International for African Views. So it's a I don't envy your position at all, because it's a serious work, but I think it's I know that you have the strength for it, and I know that you're capable of handling it properly. You'll do that role with a great deal of justice, and you will be representing African Views Student Chapter at every institution. UN programs, EU programs, African Union programs, etc. And we will make sure that we're able to support you in live representations, that you could go and be part of all of this. We'll work out that system together, and you know, it's I think it's a very, very important work. So that's the concept, that's the idea, that's the vision. So at this point, again, I will listen to what you have to say to what I have explained. Thank you. Sarah, you want to start?
Yes, yes, let me start. So I think I just have a few responses. The first one being, I think having a first session that introduces African views to students. I think on that, I'm thinking that maybe what we need to do is like communicate to every class through the coordinators. Maybe we could tell them we have an event, and then we have them attend. Maybe we need to pick a date. I think maybe generally we just have to plan well with my team. We need to draw a plan for this year, so that we can have our objectives for this year very clearly stated, and then maybe share that with you. In that way, it will also really help us to like come up with what we need and plan ahead. Yeah, so I think that's something that I and my team have to really work on, because when I met them the first time, we were just discussing, I was introducing the African Views organization and the idea of African Views chapter to them. And I'm glad that they bought the idea and they're willing to work. And so the next step is just maybe sitting down with them and planning. And then so that in that session that we hold, we could, after introducing African views, what we think African views should be, we can get feedback from them on what they think African views should maybe focus on, particularly for our institution. And then from there, we could, maybe ask them if any member is interested to join, and then share the membership forms with them. And then, yes, but I think before that time, we need to have laid down what we want to do from our side, like what we think, which programs we should hold. We need to have a plan so that when we hold that session, we're also communicating these plans to them. So yes, I think that's the work that I have, and I and my team have ahead of us, I think. Yeah.
Excellent.
So also in terms of the resources, I think it all goes down to planning. If we have a plan, we can source out, we can see, because there are certain activities that would need a lot of, let's say, financial support, then there we could support it ourselves. But at the same time, we just first need to plan, I think. Yeah.
Perfect. Mattia.
Yes, anyway, for me, I'm just happy with the gospel that is going on. Like everything you are already preaching to already an apostle. I've already been converted to be an apostle of this. So for me, I also agree with Sarah about first sitting down to plan, because I know it is not me alone who has such motive, like to make it develop Africa. So we just have to need to sit down and then make a comprehensive plan of how we shall be influencing fellow students. Yes.
Terrific. Jackie, are you able to add to this? What do you think about what was said, especially regarding your question? Okay. Jackie says she also agrees with you, Sarah. All right. So see, that's where we are. There are many things that you guys need to learn to do, including fundraise, especially locally. You could plan this in many ways. The organization, the chapter could be based on a small token to run whatever you need. You have to organize that on your own, and whatever you do can be improved and supported by us. But also, as you continue to develop and evolve in this process, there's a whole lot more that you can learn on how to develop this. So I agree with you. Let's set a date for the actual launching. Okay. So obviously, a few things that you're going to need about the launching, some refreshments, because you really want to, have an event and get people together. So yeah, we could organize that. You could do some refreshments for people, get them together and get them to have this debate, make sure it's properly documented, make sure it's properly marketed, try to work with various people. There are certain people in the school that you may need to find. They could be in any grade, in a level, that you could reach out to personally and say, look, we're doing these things. We'd like you to be part of it. And you see what they'll say. They'll ask you questions, and if it fits their frame of mind and frame of interest, they would support it. So don't hesitate to use that method as well. Of course, you could also post it out there for anybody to reach out to you and join you, and if they want, all of those things. So again, that's perhaps one of the reasons that you may need to create a web page. So whenever you're ready for that, I'll set you up properly that you're able to do it. Okay. So Sarah will work with me, so we'll set Mattia up properly, okay, so that you can work with Matia to create that kind of landing page where you can advertise to student bodies to be part of it, you know. So you could even make a small video. Jackie could help make a small video about advertising this particular thing. You guys know what to do best. I mean, you have better ideas than I do. Okay, you know how to reach exactly. Jackie's saying to create a social media as well. Absolutely. You guys know about social media. I have no idea what's happening in TikTok or whatever they call it. It's beyond my generation. But you guys know, you know exactly all of those areas. And you know, eventually, I think, just imagine if we have this network of African Views student bodies, you guys could, you know, we'll have a unique platform. Okay, so let's continue to advance this process and complete the project. You know, and the complete would be when all the universities have an AV chapter in them, because it is so critical. It is so critical. Imagine, you know, what we're building is the very necessary African strength that is missing. Okay, and we want to find an angle that's going to help us work together without making our diversity a burden to ourselves and burden to others. So this is the goal. I'm very pleased that we're able to have this meeting. I know it's late in Uganda, so that you guys could get dinner if you haven't already, and you know, and get some rest. But you know, we have a lot of work to do. So let's begin. I'll follow up with Sarah. We'll set both Matia and Jackie up properly, and you know, it's in your hands, Sarah. Set up African Views student chapter, whether you start with Facebook or whatever they call it, and that other one, I can't remember what that is. The brother to Facebook, the gosh, what they call it? It's not TikTok.
Instagram.
What's that?
Instagram.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah, you could. Yeah. So you could do that one, and also a WhatsApp group. You know, whatever you need, feel free to develop it and begin to work together on that. I think that's a really that's a good process, especially WhatsApp group. You know, Sarah, we have the WhatsApp group for the international. So just so you know, we also have WhatsApp group for different countries. So we have WhatsApp group for Ghana, WhatsApp group for Nigeria, WhatsApp group for AV Rwanda, etc. So we have WhatsApp group for AV US, you know, and all that. So it's important you have a WhatsApp group for AV student chapter. Whether you want to make it AV Student Chapter International, or you want to make it AV Student Chapter Uganda, or AV Student Chapter Lira, whatever, Lira University, whatever you want to do. So that's up to you. These are decisions that you guys can make as a group. So, but I think it's perhaps the right way forward. But I leave you to that judgment. Go ahead, Sarah. You wanted to say something. Please go ahead.
Yes. So basically, I just wanted to say the key takeaways from this meeting. I think I and my colleagues will have to sit down and share with you. Maybe I'll give you feedback on. I think the most important thing that we need to do is draw a plan. So maybe let's say mid-May, I will be able to share that with you.
Okay.
Because we also look into our university calendar. And yes, so if we share a plan with you, and then the next meeting we shall have, we'll be discussing what we have, the plans that we have for this year, particularly. Yes, so that's what I wanted to ask.
Thank you.
To add.
Thank you, and I congratulate you all again for taking this step. When one of you become the president of your country, you can reflect back on this and where we began. So this is a very good, productive meeting for me. I thank you again. I'll leave you to making conclusive statements if there's any. But otherwise, just so very pleased that you have been able to take the time today. I thank you.
Thank you too. We really appreciate this.
Thank you, dear. Mattia?
So I just want to say thank you for the inspiration. Actually, it just motivated me the more. Now I'll be so proud of my continent. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Jackie, I know you having a background noise issues there, but I saw Jackie's last question. He's saying she's asking you how often you guys are going to be meeting. But I think that's internal issues. You guys are going to discuss that, right? So
So I think with you, but I think I don't know how to answer that, but she's meaning with you because normally we have meetings almost now that we have work to do. We are going to be meeting almost every week.
okay,
Yeah.
well, Sarah, you can meet with me anytime. You
Sure.
can meet with me. So any time you want to meet, I'll make time for you. This is very, very important. This is very, very. It's so important that you guys understand this. So important that you guys carry it, so that when anything happens to any of us, you guys will continue this. You guys will continue this. This is so. There is no other way for our continent, for a consciousness like this to be the underlying current of movement. It's very, very, very important. It's very purposeful. You will see what we are doing. You'll be very proud of it. We are building the first smart city in Africa. We're bringing together traditional rulers. It's a very, very big movement, and you can imagine your purpose in it, your role in this. It's so critical. I can't tell you enough, but you will grow into it as we continue to develop. So take time to look at the website. We're also looking to improve the website because there's a lot of information there. But you guys are students, you should be able to study, and you should be intimidated by lots of information. But also take it in, and if you have any question or you want to meet anytime, I will make time for you. Okay, thank you. Always a joy to see your beautiful face, Ira. You take good care. Okay, I'll see you soon. All right.
All right.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you.